Hey everyone, so in this video, we're going to be looking at Intuit's AI functionality to help us to generate invoices. So specifically, where we're going to be starting here is here under Create an Invoice. We're going to open up this little icon here, and this is where we're going to get started. And I'll close out of here. There's the option to like literally drag and drop an invoice versus you having to fill all these details out. And then Intuit's AI functionality will kick in and auto-populate this invoice for you. So you can either drag and drop your files here. If you have like a PDF file, you can scan an image using a QR code. You can even just enter some text here and say like, this is the invoice that I want to generate, and it'll auto-populate these fields. That's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is if you click into this business feed here, you can also on the right-hand side where it says autofill, if you select invoice, you can drag and drop a file here and it'll autofill and auto-create an invoice for you. So you can either drag and drop these files. You can also send an invoice to this specific email address, and then it will, and for everyone, this is going to be different based on your username that you signed up with. But you can actually send your invoices to this email, and then it'll auto-generate an invoice for you as well. So it's really cool. It's like drag and drop versus having to manually enter any of this data, which is really cool. So let's test some of this out. Let's actually go with this method here. So we'll go to invoice. We'll pop open this left-hand side here, and I'm actually just going to drag over one of my invoices. So I have a couple of options here. I just created some generic invoices. So this one for Jim Halpert, espresso beans, 3 of them for $20 each, $60. Let's go and drag that PDF file in. So I'm just going to drag it into this little box, and then let's see it work its magic. All right, so let's see. It has brought over the customer name, selected the right customer, Jim in this case, net 30. Did it bring over the right? Yep, brought over the right coffee beans as well. 3, I believe it was. Yep, that looks good to me. And the rate is different, I think. Oops. Yeah, it looks like the rate is different. And that might be because the rate for this specific espresso bean in QuickBooks is $10, not the 20 that was on the invoice. So if I wanted to change that, I could change that. Or actually, you know what? I know what this is. It's because I set up a price rule for this product. So that's why it's kicking in as $10. That's why that's happening. But you can see here the default sales rate is $20. But yeah, for the most part, that brought it in. So that looks good to me. I'm going to go ahead and click save and close. Let's do one more example using this functionality, using the email functionality actually here. So if I actually click into manage settings, you'll see the email that, for expenses, because you can do this for expenses as well. You can copy this email, send the expense PDF to this email. It'll auto-generate an expense. But in our case, we're working on the sales side of things. So we're going to copy the invoice to this email address. So I'm going to click copy and see if it generates an invoice for us. So we'll use a different example. I've got a different one here. So another invoice, in this case for Stanley. He's buying the house blend coffee, 4 of them for $18 each. So let's head over to our inbox and let's send out an email to this address, and let's attach that PDF. Just going to drag it into my inbox. I'm going to click send, and I believe that's all we have to do. So now let's go back into QuickBooks, and if we go back to business feed, and then if you scroll down, there we go, new invoices ready for review. So if you click review all, this is where it comes through. So like anytime you do use that email, it will come through in your business feed here, and you have to actually review it before it gets created as an actual invoice. And then you just match it to make sure that everything here is lined up. That looks pretty good. I believe it was one of these. Yeah, there we go. The house coffee blend for 4 items. Looks like that's come through. And then so it doesn't auto-generate the invoice. It like sends you something to review. You click review and accept, and then once you click save here, that's when it will, there we go, 1029 saved, invoice saved. So if I close out of here, go back into all apps, and then I go into invoices, there we go, 1029 is now saved. So that's how that works.